And today we're reacting to what passing on every feels like. I was formerly experienced, you know what I'm saying, with a few different substances. Watch what I say in these first few moments of this video. Nothing hard. I was never a hard substance user, you know what I'm saying? Just the regular stuff, you know what I'm saying? Sheafing, the shrooms, you feel me? Might have sipped a little bit of drink back in my day, you know what I'm saying? I'm from Texas now. But ultimately, I found that the sober life is the better life. That being said, let's get into this video. Post to the Twitch stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5, 6 p.m. Let's go.
Pencil incident. Shrooms are a natural psychedelic that cause hallucinations. About 30 minutes after eating them.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Like, if I'm being completely honest, I've never had a bad experience on the what my dog Will say, he calls them goomies. I've never had a bad experience, man. It's always been a good time. Always have fun. Yeah. So, well, let's see.
Colors get brighter. Patterns start crawling on the walls.
I didn't even know people
Time
were
stretches
passing
like
from
puffy,
goomies.
and your sense of self begins to melt. Your brain is rushed into a state of euphoria, leaving you questioning what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
But what happens when you take too much? On a calm Saturday afternoon, a 21-year-old Hispanic man would return home from work and consume an unspecified quantity of shrooms.
Hey.
Shortly after consumption, he started experiencing a bad trip and begun acting erratically upon arriving to his house.
Bro, that's one thing I remember, like my experience when I would first started doing these. I remember somebody was just kind of giving me a debrief, telling me about, make sure, you're not thinking about bad things before you go, like people who passed away, or, just like, come into it with a good mindset. Like, he said an unspecified amount. I don't know what that looks like. You feel me? That could, for some people, it might hit harder. For other people, I just know the last time I did these, I took probably a cool little 3.5 and watched Spider-Man, Homecoming, and y'all know the scene when all the rocks and all that fall on top of him, and he's pushing through. Like I felt like I was under the rocks with him. Then he said, then what Iron Man say? Something along the lines of, you need the suit. Something, if you need the suit, then you not a real something. Bro, that just spoke to me. And then he broke through. I was like, that was a good time, man. I ain't gonna lie.
His stepfather and brother would step in and restrain him to try to calm him down, but he'd break free of their grasp and also break a glass vase in the process. In his frenzied state, he'd then begin to rub himself against the glass shards on the floor and severely injure his arms and legs. His brother and stepfather would successfully intervene to stop him from injuring himself any further with the glass shards, and he'd be sat down at a desk. But shockingly enough, in a horrific act, he'd take a number 2 pencil that was laying on the desk, stand it upright, and repeatedly smash his head on the sharpened pencil. When he raised his head, he'd reveal that he jabbed the pencil repeatedly into both of his eye sockets.
No.
He would stand up again to do something else, but quickly vomited on himself, leaving his family in a state of total panic.
Yo, they might have laced that, bruh. That don't sound like, I guess that maybe was a bad trip look like. I've never seen a bad trip on Goomies, like I said. That must be what that looked like, but that's crazy. Hold on.
Emergency services were called, where they tried desperately to save the young man's life, but unfortunately, they would only get so far. Shrooms are one of the least toxic substances in the world.
Right.
You'd need to eat dozens or even hundreds of grams to fatally overdose. But that doesn't mean people can't from it. Yeah. Most fatalities come from behavioral toxicity, panicking, jumping out windows, walking into traffic, or doing something fatal during a full-blown psychotic break. You won't pass away from the drug itself. You'll pass away from what it does to your mind. The Gator incident. Now let's talk about meth. When it hits, you feel invincible.
See, here I don't have no experience. We all watching. Well, I hope some of y'all don't have this experience. If you have, please, I pray that y'all are no longer there.
This substance cranks up your sympathetic nervous system and causes an explosive release of dopamine in your body. Your heart starts racing, you become laser focused, and you'll be filled with unstoppable energy. The high can last 8 to 16 hours. No sleep, no food, just intense stimulation. And when you take too much, your body turns into an absolute war zone. On May 26th, in Orlando, Florida, concerned bystanders would phone a call to police officers to let them know that there was a man on a racetrack shaking violently, asking to see his son. When police arrived, he was nowhere to be found, until suddenly he was located in a lake full of alligators. Officers would try to throw the man a life vest, but he'd refuse it and would start getting attacked by the alligators in the water. And to officers' surprise, like it was a scene straight out of a horror movie, the man actually resurfaced out of the lake, covered in severe injuries and carrying gardening shears. He would charge at the officers in their car, and in response, they would tase him repeatedly, but it would have absolutely no effect.
I'm invincible right now, bro. I got superhuman strength. This sounds like a terrible, horrifying movie. Attacked by bro. That's how you know this substance is not for human consumption, bro. I'm talking about just got attacked by, mind you, earlier he was on a racetrack. Then he got chomped and flipped and death rowed by alligators to ultimately come out on top with gardening shears from the water, gets tased, and is still alive. It's time to lethal. We gotta go lethal. Officer Dior style.
It was only when the man jumped into the passenger seat of the police cruiser and tried reaching for a rifle in the vehicle that officers finally used lethal force.
Yeah, we got to.
Hijacks your brain's reward system and sends your body into overdrive. It burns out your dopamine center and disrupts your central nervous system so much that your body both loses touch with reality and can no longer regulate its temperature. Your organs can literally cook from the inside out and cause you to collapse. You can have a heart attack, or you could simply just go on a rampage and meet an early demise like this man. The 108th incident. Weed is by far one of the most commonly used substances in the United States.
Now we back to what
Within
I know.
minutes of smoking, you're relaxed. Music sounds better, jokes are funnier, and you get really, really hungry. You might feel euphoric, or anxious, or both. It depends on the strain, your mood, and your brain chemistry.
For sure.
So what happens when you smoke too much of it? Well, here's the truth. You can't die from THC toxicity alone. There's no known lethal dose in humans. You'd have to smoke thousands of joints in a short time to even come close. But that doesn't mean it's harmless. In the spring of 2018 in California, a woman who had just befriended a man at a dog park she frequently visited would follow him home to his apartment for a quick spark-up session, which, mind you, is totally legal in the state of California. After the two finished lighting up grass through a bong, the woman would unexpectedly shoot up from her seat straight to the kitchen and grab 3 knives.
Hey, could you come back with some chips? And maybe some ice cream? And maybe some chicken Oh!
Whoa!
Are you trying to chop up some salsa? I love salsa.
Jim, I'm not making salsa.
In just the blink of an eye, she would stab the man repeatedly non-stop. 100.
Sir! 3? But sir! You met Shorty at the park. This might not be a gas thing. This might be a mental schizophrenic thing. Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Cause what? I'm sorry, what? She just went to the kitchen, came back with cutlery? Okay.
108 times. His body would be covered in marks from head to toe, and his face would nearly be entirely carved out.
Wow.
Officers that arrived at the scene would find that she had also stabbed her dog, and shockingly enough, had stabbed herself 40 times, and was still in the process of doing it.
Yeah,
They would quickly intervene and try to physically stop her, but it wasn't enough. Officers would tase her 4 times to try to break her psychotic frenzy, but it would be to no avail. In order to get her to stop, one police officer had to swing a baton at her arm 9 times to break it, and finally she would release her grip from the knife. The man unfortunately didn't make it, but surprisingly, the woman did. And even more shockingly, she faced 0 prison time for her.
Woman who avoided prison after stabbing lover 108 times is appealing. Now his dad is speaking out. Whoa, not only did my son not get any justice, but our family did not get any justice here either. How?
Her actions because it was proven in court that she experienced what is commonly known as cannabis-induced psychosis.
No way.
The woman was very inexperienced when it came to smoking weed, and that potentially played a huge role in why she experienced this rare
I've
phenomenon.
never heard of this.
She was placed on probation for 2 years and was required to do 100 hours of community service. The man's family, especially his father, were extremely upset when they heard about this. Understandably so.
It should never have happened.
Wait, hold on. How many times can you? Okay, hold on. Whatever lawyer, they got to keep that lawyer disclosed, because I just know some people in the streets who committed some type of drill. It's like out of this world, off that gas. Bro, I was on a cannabis-induced psychosis. Nah, y'all can't take me to prison, bro. That's cannabis. You know what I'm saying? People can get away with that. Ain't no way. I've never heard of that before.
She should have never have been allowed to walk free. She should have done some time. You know, you had a jury that convicted her, a unanimous conviction in less than 4 hours. And the judge went completely against all three of those entities and just said...
In Texas, she would have got because the jury, I forgot what it is. This is the same reason why TK has 80-something years on his belt.
You're free to go.
The stove. YouTube really didn't like the case on ecstasy that I found. So instead, we'll go over this situation where a 26-year-old martial arts fighter and his sparring partner consumed an unnatural amount of shrooms while in their apartment. Initially, everything was fine, until they became convinced that the world was coming to an end and that the two were fighting a battle of life and death between God and the devil.
Whoa! Whoa!
Would begin their legendary battle, and finally when the struggle finished, their friend would walk into their apartment room only to find the martial arts fighter standing butt naked in the kitchen cooking his friend's heart and remains in a stove.
This is the thing. I would have seen that, and I'm not even making no big deal about it. I gotta keep my composure, bro. I'm coming in there. Something smells good. What's that? Eyeballs. Yeah, I love eyeballs. I'm gonna run downstairs. I'm gonna grab a wine bottle. I got a wine bottle downstairs. I just happen to have it in my car. Let me go grab that. We gonna feast up, have some wine and red meat today. You know what I'm saying? All right, man. That for sure. I'll be right back. In a moment like this, you can't show fear. You just gotta, okay, nah, I see what's going on. Yeah. So what's up, y'all? You just gotta, you know what I'm saying? That's how you gotta think in these moments, y'all.
Victim would be found laying on the couch, missing his face, tongue, and heart. And sadly, the autopsy revealed that he was alive when his chest was ripped open and his heart was taken out. The martial arts fighter wouldn't be as lucky as the woman in our last case. He'd be formally charged and sentenced to 47 years in state prison for what he did to his friend. Now this probably makes the US legal system come off as a little hypocritical, considering that in the other case the woman was allowed to blame psychosis for her actions and be cleared of any severe wrongdoing, whereas in this case the fighter's state of influence was ignored and he was directly sentenced. But honestly, that's your opinion to make. When it comes to overdosing on psilocybin, you'll find that it rarely ever ends you through toxicity alone. You'll need to eat an absurd amount for that to actually happen. The real danger is psychosis, panic, and delusion. Once you compromise the healthiness and security of your mind for a quick burst of excitement, you'll find that that's where things go haywire.
These things gotta be like one of the rarest cases and had such an excessive amount. Maybe not the gas thing. The gas thing just sounds like somebody who got away with an M. That's all that sounds like.
Words, don't do drugs. Have a happy day.
Don't do them, for real. That being said, y'all let me know what y'all think. Like the video, sub up, comment them, make sure it's your channel. I appreciate y'all. Great for y'all, man. We are gone. ADD lad on it.